Good afternoon. You have to bear with me 1 second. I'm having technical difficulties here, so I can't hear anything in my headphones for some reason. So I know I came on a little bit late, but I have no friggin' audio here. So give me 1 second. Just bear with me while I'm trying to fix this mess. What's this? Okay, whatever. And hope everybody's gonna have a good weekend while I try to fix this because I can't hear anything. And how the hell am I supposed to do a video if I can't goddamn hear anything? So what I may have to do is this. Hold on, just bear with me 1 second. Alright, let me try now. The hell's going on here? This isn't working at all. Wait a minute. Shit. Well then, I'm still having technical difficulties here. I can't hear at all from on my headphones, and if I can't hear, that means somebody else can hear. So let's see. There's gotta be something here. There's gotta be a setting that's off. There's gotta be some sort of setting that's off here, which is not fucking working. Okay, that's that. Jesus Christ. Let me try reloading this. Maybe reloading that might help. It's still mute. Huh. Well then, I'm mute still. So what I may end up having to do is put it through my speakers here and hope to God that it's not any real interference because I can't get this to work. Jesus Christ. But first, let everybody know that I'm live because I haven't done that yet because I'm trying to fix this fucking shit. Lord. Look at this crap. Jesus Christ. Say I can't get my headphones to work. Nothing is really going right. Not a good start. I'll make it better though. Damn it. My headphones aren't working and can't really get anything else to work. Hold on. Yeah, well, just give me 1 second here and I'm gonna have to turn off these headphones and go to the speakers because it's just ridiculous. Yeah, so let's see. Yep, I'm live. So let's see. I'll get started in a minute. I'll just have to do it like this because, again, stuff always goes wrong during these live streams. Lord. All right, so let me try this. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Medicare for All bill.
Yep. So Dianne Feinstein passed away, as everybody knows today, earlier this morning. 90 years old, really old. And I wanted to play this clip, but for some reason I can't get any audio here in my headphones. Like, I may have to. Hold on a second. Yeah, can't hear anything still. Well then, this isn't good. Why is this not working? Jesus Christ. Let me see something. Let's try that. Oh, audio's off. Yeah, this isn't good. Oh my god. Well, I can't hear anything. Let me try something. Hold on. Forget that. Let's see if I can get it through the speakers, because if I can, then I'll just do it like that. Because I did wasted 10 minutes, almost 10 minutes on this. So let's see.
Not at this stage. And I will tell you.
Yeah, I'm totally mute here, and I don't know why. My god. This is absurd. Wait a minute. Let's try that. Well, if that's it, I'm stupid.
Tell you why.
Yeah, that's what it was. Oh my god. It's just absurd. Now let me try this again. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. Shit happens. Especially when you're doing this by yourself. Alright. Okay, let's go to sound. Let's do that.
Why?
There we go. Jesus Christ. I mean, I spent 7 minutes, with audio, with trying to get these headphones to work, and they didn't work. And now I'm an idiot because I realized it was this 10-second fix. Sorry about that. Hey, Stephanie, what's up? Thank you for joining me today. I feel like a total idiot, but, not a good start to the stream. Whoops, sorry. But not much we can do about it now, so we'll get started now. No live, no videos this week really from me earlier, because I like to do some standalone videos, just to get something up in the channel every single day. I couldn't because I was too busy getting medical testing and going to appointments and stuff like that. If you follow me on Twitter, you might know this. If not, then I'll say it here real quick. I do have a lump underneath my armpit here. It's really small. It's like 2.5 centimeters, but still, I felt it and it's noticeable. So yeah, I got all these medical. I got a bunch of blood work today. In fact, this morning I had a bunch of blood. I had 8 vials of blood removed from me. They're testing me for Lyme disease, HIV, to everything. I mean, I'm like, Jesus Christ! They took 8 vials of blood out of me, guys. When I got home, I was so dizzy. I felt like I drank like a 6-pack or something. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I'm on Monday. I'm gonna have to go see the not Monday. I have to call to go see this, to make an appointment to go see the specialist, and most likely have this removed. And they'll probably biopsy it, and hopefully it's not cancer. But if it's benign, I don't have to worry about it again. So that's what's been going on this week. I've been quite busy, so no videos this week, and am I a little nervous? Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't be? I mean, there's a fucking lump underneath my armpit, so of course I'm nervous. And my doctor is like, well, it could be breast cancer, and I'm like, oh, great, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, doc. Greatly appreciate you scaring the shit out of me, or trying to. No, Stephanie, not yet. I have to see that. I have to call the specialist to make the appointment, and then they'll tell me they'll biopsy it, most likely remove it, and hopefully there's no cancer cells in it because it's like that big. It's like 2 centimeters. It's not like it's gigantic. But yeah, I mean that's what's been going on. And that's why I haven't seen many videos from me this week. Hopefully next week I'll be able to get something up on the channel other than in the stream. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate any thoughts or any positive thoughts and stuff like that because I mean, I'm gonna need it. I'm probably gonna have surgery at some point in October, so it'll be minor, I'm sure. It's not invasive. Just pluck it out. All that blood been there. You're in the system now. Yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, it's like they tested me for everything. They took out like 8 vials of blood. I mean, I remember because the um the doctor gave me the prescription. Go get this blood work done. And I looked at it and it was full. It was Lyme disease to HIV to anything you can test for. They're testing for it basically. Make sure it's not some kind of disease or disorder that I have. I don't think I have anything. I don't feel sick, but who knows? At this point, it's because you don't feel anything doesn't mean you aren't sick. But yeah, I mean, now let's move on to the show. Not yet. Show me there. All right. So, as everybody knows, Dianne Feinstein passed away today at 90 years old. A lot of people seem happy about that. I'm one of them, quite frankly. Her legacy's been awful throughout her, 30 years she's in the Senate. So, she's gone. She's 90 years old, and her time I mean, if you remember her last few months, she can barely see anything. If she really remember, she's like, where am I at? Why am I here? What am I doing here? It's like, she had no idea where she been at. And all of a sudden she's still a senator, even though she signed to it. She had to give up, legal authority to her daughter or something. Caught early, all doable, you'll be good. Yeah, I mean, that's what my doctor said. Even if it was some sort of cancer cells in there, it's so early that I don't know what the process would be if you catch cancer that early, but early to the point where it's barely noticeable. So I'm not sure if there's medication for that or there would be chemo. I don't think chemo because it's so early. I caught it so early, but that's all speculation at this point. I have to get it out first, and then we'll figure out what's next. So, yeah, Feinstein passed away, and yeah. So let's get to that. Nico House tweeted this out, so I want to play it and actually try to make sure you can see it. Oops. Then I'll get to Cenk Uygur running for president, and we'll get to him. This is a part of Feinstein's legacy because everybody's sucking up to her, talking about how great she was and how she's a lion of the Senate and how she's a trailblazer. Women are aspire to be Dianne Feinstein, etc. Bullshit. So Nico House tweeted this out. Thank you for that. Here's Dianne Feinstein telling voters that the U.S. isn't ready for universal health care. So that's her legacy. That's major part of her legacy right here. So I don't know if I'll play all this, but let's just see. Let's just see how much I'll play. Dianne Feinstein question on single payer healthcare at her town hall in Los Angeles in April 20th, 2017. Her first town hall in 24 years in office. She hadn't even bothered doing a town hall. In 24 years, she's been in office. I mean, the absurdity of that is unbelievable. And voters kept reelecting her in California, even though she didn't respect her voters enough to actually, do this, to go and talk to them and, listen to their concern, at least act like she cared. But let's watch this and I'll stop and go. I probably won't play the whole thing. We'll see though.
My question is, will you co-sponsor Senator Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill?
Single payer now! Single payer
stage. And I will tell you why. I will tell you why.
Sell out.
Essentially, as I understand what Bernie is proposing, it is a takeover of all medicine.
No.
In the United States. And I don't favor that.
And that was that's so ridiculous. I mean, it was basically handing people a healthcare card, which is funded by the government. That was what Medicare for All is. It wasn't like the UK's National Health Service taking over everything, in the healthcare industry, just controlling everything from the doctors to the hospitals to etc. It wasn't that. It wasn't a full takeover of the healthcare system. It was just a Medicare card. And Dianne Feinstein is like, nope, not in favor of that because it'll take over the whole system. No, that wasn't it. That was just a ridiculous falsehood.
What I favor is taking a couple of problems in the Obama bill and working those out.
Obamacare is a Republican program cooked up by the right-wing Heritage Foundation, proposed by U.S. Senator Bob Dole and implemented by GOP Governor Mitt Romney. Yep. It forces millions of people to buy a private product they can't afford to. It cannot be fixed, blah, blah, blah.
If Senator Sanders sat down with you and showed you that single payer does not mean a complete takeover of government of all health care, that's a Republican talking point, and in fact it merely means Medicare for all. I know you support Medicare, it's simply lowering the age of eligibility to 0, and it's what every other advanced industrialized country has. It's what the majority of Americans want. It's what the vast majority of Democrats want. John Conyers has been introducing his companion bill in the Congress for 14 years. Just now, 50% of Democrats...
Can you ask the question?
Yes, my question.
Thank you. Answer
Senator
your
Sanders
question.
sits down with you and explains to you that it is not a complete government takeover. Will you support it?
I would be happy to sit down with Senator Saunders and discuss.
Senator Saunders? He was already losing it in 2017, just butchering Bernie Sanders' name. I'll be happy to sit down with Senator Saunders. Like, I don't know who that is. I mean, maybe someone in her own head.
Single payer now! Single payer now! There you have it, folks. She made news again by repeating the lie that Medicare for all single payer health care is complete takeover by the government of all health care. As you can see, I got her to agree to meet with Senator Sanders, where he is going to set her straight. If she supports the Medicare program, which I know she does, well, maybe she doesn't, because at her town hall the other day, she talked about how we have to deal with entitlements. Call Dianne Feinstein's office.
No. She's dead, so no one's going to pick up that call. But, yeah, there's something else I wanted to... another part of Feinstein's legacy. Let's see. This is her. I remember this video. This is from a few years ago, too, I think. This is how Dianne Feinstein spoke to kids who wanted to take meaningful action on climate change. So, yeah, I remember this video. I saw it before, and it was like... the way she spoke to these kids and was condescending towards them was just disgusting. So let's watch this. This is part of her legacy too. It isn't just rainbows and roses like the media is making it out to be.
We're gonna go in and share this letter, and we're gonna do it all together. Yeah. Share it in front of Feinstein. We're asking her to vote yes on the Green New Deal.
We are trying to ask you to vote yes on the Green New Deal.
Please.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We have our own Green New Deal.
Some scientists have said that we have
No, they didn't. They had no Green New Deal.
12 years to turn this around.
Well, it's not
The
going to get
government's
turned
supposed-
around in
the-
10 years.
the
What we
government's
can
supposed-
do
Senator, if
is
this
put
doesn't get turned
ourselves-
around in 10 years, you're looking at the faces of the people who are going to be living with these
Guess what?
consequences.
The government is supposed to be for the people and by the people and all
You know
for the
what's
people.
interesting about
Yeah, these are just kids and they were naive. The government's not by the people for the people and all stuff. No, it's for the powerful in Washington. That's who the government works for. They don't work for any of us. Not even close.
About this group is I've been doing this for 30 years.
Hold on. Look at this woman. Like, I've been doing this for 30 years, and you fucking kids have the nerve to come to my office and fucking, tell me what was supposed to vote for or not. Fuck you, kids. Get the fuck out of my office. That's her attitude. It's like the old person yells at kids phase of her life. Like, you fucking kids, get the fuck out of my lawn. This is what she's saying here, essentially. Like, fuck you, kids. I mean, you ain't gonna tell me what to do.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's basically
You
what she's
come
saying.
in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway. I don't respond to that. I've gotten elected. I just ran. I was elected by almost 1 million vote plurality. And I know what I'm doing. So,
I know what I'm doing, so go fuck yourselves. Get the fuck out of here, kids. That's what she's saying. It's like, you might as well say that. That's a little more respectful than being condescending. Like, hey, you fucking kids coming in here and telling me how to vote. That's not gonna happen. I just got reelected. I mean, I know what I'm doing here. So,
maybe people should listen a little bit.
I hear what you're saying, but we're the people who voted you. You're supposed to listen to us. That's your
How old are you?
job.
How old
I'm
are you?
16. I
Well,
can't
you didn't vote for me.
Well,
I'm 24.
It doesn't matter. We're the ones who's going to be
Means
impacted.
something.
It doesn't matter. We're going to be the ones who's all impacted.
I understand that. I have 7 grandchildren.
nah, she ain't gonna be impacted. You just died today. So, yeah, I mean, she's 90. She wasn't gonna be fucking affected by climate change. So by the time climate change comes at its worst, I'll probably be old and withered away too. So, but yeah, I mean, look how disrespectful she is to these kids. I mean, she could have said these exact same things in a lot more respectful way, a lot more politically correct. She's like, I just got reelected. I don't need to be nice to these fucking kids.
Grandchildren. I understand it very well.
Senator, the cost of
And-
not taking this action is far higher than the cost of what the Green New Deal will be. And there
Here's
is
what-
enormous popularity for this bill around
Okay.
the whole country.
Here's
And we're
what
asking you to
we
be
are
brave
proposing.
and do this for us and for your grandchildren.
Get enough for everyone. I'm trying to do the best I can, which was to write a responsible resolution.
Any plan that doesn't
has
Resolution. That's not a law. A resolution is like, oh yeah, we should do this. Doesn't mean we have to. We should do this. And let's all vote for it and pat ourselves in the back and act like we accomplished something. Dick. That's what that was. It was just, hey, yay, we passed a resolution, which is meaningless. I mean, that was the best you can come up with, these people.
to take bold, transformative action is not going to.
She's a politician. She's never going to take bold, transformative action. That's not a thing. Politicians don't do that. They always play it safe.
Be what we need.
Well, you know better than I do.
Why don't
So
you
I think one day you should run for the Senate.
Great. I
And
will.
then you do it your way.
By that
One day, maybe you should run for the Senate. Like, yeah, go fuck yourselves. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just here for my ego and for power, and I'll be here to the day I die, which is true. She died in the Senate. She died in power. Let's keep a little bit more.
In the
by
meantime,
that time, there's
I
going to be a
just
big problem.
I
We
just
have
won
letter
a big
for you.
election.
See. Guys, I just won the election. What do you expect me to do, right? I won. That's what matters, right? Me winning my election, not. I don't give a shit about you whippersnappers and your letter and whatever. I give zero fucks because I'm gonna be dead in a few years. Yeah, so that's over, I guess. Yep. Well, that's that. Let's see. I don't think yeah, I'll just say this though. There's gonna be drama now because she still had a year and a half left in her term because she's supposed to leave office in January 2025. The election's next year, but she's supposed to leave office in 25. So Gavin Newsom put his foot in his mouth when he basically promised, well, I'll appoint a black woman if Dianne Feinstein retires or dies. So I'll appoint a black woman. Here's the thing: his aunt Nancy Pelosi, or what I think that's his aunt. Anyways, his aunt is not be happy with that because she wanted Adam Schiff for that seat, which is why she basically forced Dianne Feinstein to stay in the Senate, even though she was nearly dead by that point. So now there's going to be drama because now he's going to have to appoint a black woman. He has to keep his promise because I think he's running for president this year. So he can't just break his promise. Oh, yeah, I'll appoint Adam Schiff here. I mean, here, you can have the seat, even though you're running for it. And you probably get reelected because, I mean, you're a senator and incumbents are much more powerful than, actually in the Senate. I mean, it's very rare when an incumbent senator loses. But yeah, there's gonna be some interesting drama here in the next week or two, trying to figure out who's gonna take the Senate seat. Who is Gavin Newsom going to appoint? So yeah, Stephanie says she's never gonna be affected demon. No, because she didn't have much time. Even in 2017, she wasn't all there. It was like she was gonna die soon. I didn't think it would take 7 years, but after that clip, but yeah, she was dead. She was gonna die soon, and it happened today. Pelosi, McConnell, and Biden need to follow suit. Yep. I mean, McConnell had at least 2 strokes. There were 2 incidents where he's just like that. I mean, it was a minute long. Sometimes it was a minute and a half the last time. And like, he at least had 2 strokes. So he's next. I don't know how much time he has left, but he's next. He's going to die next in the Senate. So, and the governor of Kentucky is going to have to choose a new senator, most likely. Kind of like Gavin Newsom has to do now. Pelosi, I don't think she's going to die anytime soon. She's an old witch, that constantly drinks her wine. And she sounds drunk every time she talks. So, yeah, I don't think she's going anywhere anytime soon. People are talking about she might retire after this term. It's like she's running for re-election again. She may not be the speaker anymore, but she's going to stay in Congress as long as she can. And Biden's running for re-election. I mean, people are like, well, yeah, it's obvious that he's not well, but he's running for re-election. So yeah, so he's not going anywhere unless he's forced out by the party. It's like, here, go away, Mr. President. Here, we're going to run Gavin Newsom instead because he's the greasy, oily politician that we need in order to defeat Trump. Even though as soon as you dig into his record a little bit and Trump gets a hold of him, if he were the nominee, let's say, as soon as Trump gets a hold of him and starts digging through his record, his poll number be doing that. I mean, I don't think he has any chance of beating Trump. But Stephanie, Barbara Boxer. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm tongue tying myself. Yeah. I mean, I think what Gavin Newsom will do, he'll appoint a black woman that agrees not to run for the Senate seat, kind of like a caretaker. Like, here, you can be senator for a year and a half, but you can't run for re-election. That might be part of the deal. He'll do that probably. I don't know. Isn't Barbara Boxer? She's not running for that seat, is she? I don't think so. I know that. Why am I forgetting her name? Katie Porter's running for that seat. Adam Schiff and Barbara Lee is running for that seat. I don't know about Barbara Boxer. I don't think she is, though. So, term limits. I mean, that'd be nice. I mean, excuse the phone. But, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. She dead. She was dead pretty much when she came back to the Senate. She's like an old, confused lady. Like, why am I here? Like, the fuck am I doing here? Can I have my ice cream? I mean, come on. I mean, she was nowhere near ready. So term limits, it depends on the age. I mean, there's some people like Bernie Sanders who are in their 80s and still mentally competent. Most 80-year-olds are not, unless you're Trump too. Trump is pretty mentally competent too. He's not exactly one of these people where you could see him like obviously mentally declining the way Joe Biden is. I mean, I could show you multiple clips of Joe Biden tripping and falling or being confused or walking off stage randomly for no reason. After he's not even done with his speech, he just leaves. It's like, oh yeah, I have to go. I have to go. Bye. And even though he wasn't supposed to go, I can go on and on with that, but but yeah, let me move on to the next story because I don't want to talk about Feinstein anymore. So, as the next story would be Cenk Uygur. He made some news yesterday talking about how he's going to run for president, or at least he's considering it. He's talking to staff. He's basically forming an exploratory committee. How many times politicians do that? It's like, oh yeah, let me form an exploratory committee in order to run for president. Excuse me one second. I can't get to it. All right. Sorry about that. So, Cenk Uygur is running for president. He made some news. So, first, I want to play this clip. No, not that clip. Where is it? Ah, here it is. Uh, and then, oh, Barbara Lee. Yeah, she's running for that seat. But here's the thing: if they appoint her, if Gavin Newsom appoints her, then that'll piss off the more establishment wing of the party because they want Adam Schiff. And you appoint Barbara Lee, then that means that she's gonna be reelected. There's no way that she loses that seat. That seat belongs to her, and that'll make Nancy Pelosi and the party very angry. So he can't appoint Barbara Lee. He just can't do it, especially he's planning on running for president. Because if he does it, you can forget about any chance of becoming president or the nominee at least in 2024 or 28. So he'll be written off by the party at that point. They're definitely blocking her. I mean, she might be the best to take that seat. If she took that seat, it might be for the best. But ultimately, I don't think she's taking that seat. I think it's either going to be Adam Schiff or maybe Katie Porter. She might have a better chance because ultimately she's much more friendlier to that wing of the party. So let's get to Mr. The reason I want to play this clip first is that he uploaded this today. Oops, where is it? Did Cenk's book make the New York Times bestseller list? So he's going to be upset here. He's going to pretend. He's going to talk about how his book didn't make the New York Times bestseller list, even though he thinks that he should because he sold enough books in his head. So this is the reason why I think he's running for president, or at least trying to run for president, even though legally he can't because ultimately he's not a U.S. citizen. He's not a natural born U.S. citizen. So this is just a waste of time. Why is he running for president? Yeah, I think because he sees Marianne Williamson and what she's doing with her book while running for president, and then turning around and saying, "Let me do that too. I could sell more books. I mean, let me do that too." So I'll do a glorified run for president, even though I can't actually be president, and I'll sell a bunch of books to morons that believe that I can be president, even though I can't. So he's looking for marks. He's looking for marks to buy his book and to donate to his campaign so then he can turn around and buy books for that money and just give them away to his supporters, like most politicians do. That's part of their grift. They write a book right before they're running for office, and then they use campaign funds in order to buy a bunch of books and just give them away to their supporters. So ultimately, they pocket the royalties, and they pocket the royalties. Yeah, think of what it's called, royalties, where you get a certain amount per book sold. So that's what it's about. It's a grift for Cenk Uygur, but he's going to be mad or kind of upset because he didn't make the New York Times bestseller list. I'll play this first, and then I'm going to get to the some clips about Crystal when he appeared on Breaking Points claiming he might run for president because he's so scared of Donald Trump.
Hey guys, by the way, I'm in Washington, as you can tell right there. So did my book, Justice is Coming, make the New York Times bestseller list? Well, we've got an unusual yes and no. How could it be yes and no? That doesn't make any sense. Well, you're right, it doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to explain it to you and then you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's not over yet. So the New York Times has three different bestseller lists: hard, paperback, and audio list. You make any of them, you're a New York Times bestseller. So the paperback is much later. So that's not an
Cenk Uygur was so desperate to make the New York Times bestseller list, so he can call himself a New York Times bestselling author, Cenk Uygur. When he goes on different shows or even on TYT, he can put that there on his bio, like I'm a New York Times bestseller, motherfucker. I'm important, right? So when he's not getting that, he's very upset about it. Obviously, I'm surprised he wasn't more angry about it.
not an issue right now. So the hardcover and the audiobooks are the ones that are the issue, and so that sets up this great mystery. So hardcover comes out first, and it's for uh, first week of sales. Okay, so that one is in. Audiobook is for the first month of sales, and that one's not over yet. tyt.com/justice. And at this point, based on what I'm going to tell you, try to buy the audiobook if you can. A lot of you have already bought the audiobook, and I love you for it.
I can barely hear
And
this.
by the way, everyone who's reading it is saying great things, which I deeply appreciate.
Uh-huh. Everybody who's reading the book says great things, guys. Even though the book is basically everything that he's been saying on TYT the last 20 years. I mean, what can he really say? That's what has been his shtick for the last 20 years. Republicans bad, Democrats good, some Democrats good, not all Democrats. Some Democrats good, some Democrats evil, there might as well be Republicans. We're going to take over the country. The country's progressive, even though he keeps voting, the country isn't voting for Cenk Uygur's chosen candidates. They didn't vote for Cenk. Cenk barely got 5% when he ran. When California, his own state, by the way, he only got 5% of the vote, which he finished like almost dead last. It was pathetic. But yeah, they're saying great things about this book, even though he's been saying the same shit for 20 years. There's no way he's saying anything new in this book that he just released, which by the way took him 3 years to write, because if you remember, he announced his book back in 2020 during the pandemic. So this is Cenk Uygur basically saying, I need another revenue source. How do I do this? Oh yeah, I know. I'll hawk a book that I haven't written yet, and I'll get my moron fans to spend $25 on a pre-order, even though the book's not written, and it's not gonna be written for 3 years, 3 fucking years. Like, imagine any author does this. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, please pre-order my new book. It's called I'm the Biggest Grifter in the World. Is it written? No, it's not written, but you can give me $25 and I might consider writing the book in 3 years. You can have it then. And so please give me $25 because I need an extra revenue source because it's COVID and I'm losing money like crazy. That's basically where this is on a grift. I'm surprised he wrote the book, honestly. I didn't think he would ever do it because it's been 3 years. Like, for example, Anya Parampil of Gray Zone, she wrote a book recently. She came out with a book too. It's a great. I mean, I would recommend reading it. I haven't read it yet, but I would like to read that book. It's I forget what it's called right now. Something about Venezuela, something like that. I butchered that, but yeah, it's about economy and history and stuff like that. I have no idea what this book is about right now because I just lost my train of thoughts. But it's she wrote a book with research and stuff and facts and stuff. It took her 2 years. It took Cenk 3 years to write a shitty book that he's been promising and nobody's gonna read unless you're part of his fan base, and then you'll pay the $25 for the book. Unfortunately, Cenk isn't a bestseller, isn't a New York Times bestseller, and but I'm babbling, so let me play a little bit more of this, and then I'll play some of his appearance on Breaking Points. We'll talk about that.
And it is an excellent summary of the progressive movement and what we need to do to win and how we are going to win. Okay, so uh, so on the hardcover, we sold enough books to make the list. It's the top 15 that make the list. Now, wait, that sounds like a yes. We sold enough books to make the list. Where's the no part? Well, the no part is the New York Times didn't put us on the list. So that is greatly, greatly frustrating.
Yeah, because he wanted to call himself a New York Times bestselling author. And according to him, he's claiming that he did sell enough books, but they still didn't put him on the list. Okay, well, that's too bad for you. I don't know why, you're you're kind of making a video on this and getting, and complaining about it, even though he says it's not a conspiracy theory, or he doesn't think it's a conspiracy. He will say that later in this video. So a little bit more.
Now, is it a conspiracy against me? I don't know, and likely no, right? Um,
Likely no.
two of the books that are on the list sold less than we did,
But
and they got a
there's a possibility because he says likely no. He left it open for a conspiracy against them.
on there anyway. And so, is it true that sometimes books don't make the bestseller list when they've sold enough copies to make the bestseller list? Yes, that does sometimes happen. They say that it's based on the distribution of books and how many books. And yeah, maybe that's true. And so it's impossible to know. It's impossible to know. But they have made a decision for other factors other than sales that we did not make the list, even though two of the books clearly sold less copies than we did. So, guys, this is pretty much the story of my life, and it's actually kind of what I wrote about in the book in terms of progressives being invisible. So we sell enough books to get on the hardcover list and become a New York Times bestseller, but yet we're not on the list and hence invisible. I mean, I literally wrote about it in the book about how mainstream media thinks progressives are invisible and refuses to cover them.
Yeah, because nobody, Cenk, it's like I wrote a chapter in my book where I talk about how progressives are invisible because the mainstream media, doesn't want to cover us and doesn't want to cover our policy proposals, and they don't take us seriously. And then what happens? Progressives like Cenk Uygur, in quotation marks, turn around and talk about how you need to vote for Joe Biden. Vote for Joe Biden, because if you don't vote for Joe Biden, then you're making Trump win. If Trump wins, then our democracy is over. And boo, be very, very, very afraid. I mean, like, why would anybody take you seriously? No matter what, you're ultimately going to vote for the Democrat, right? I mean, you're not going to vote Republican. You're not going to vote third party. So why are we wasting our times with this? Because ultimately, the party and the media knows that people like Cenk Uygur and most leftists will vote for Joe Biden, or Democrats in general. Not all of us, but most of us. Unfortunately, that's the case. We'll vote for a Democrat, either be Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom or whoever ends up being a nominee in 24. Well, I'm pretty sure it's Gavin Newsom. I mean, that's my theory. I mean, we'll see what happens, but at some point, Joe Biden's going to drop out and Gavin Newsom will run in there and be the nominee. Without any voting, without nothing, he'll just be the nominee. So we'll see if I'm right or I'm wrong. You can come back to this later and say, look how wrong you was. Joe Biden was the nominee. Okay. Hey, I'm just guessing. But let's go to this Mediaite piece. You can barely see that. Hold on. I'll play this video in a minute, but let me read some of this first. You can barely see that. What the fuck? Here we go. All right, that's a little better. Cenk Uygur says he's so mortified by the prospect of former President Donald Trump winning a second term over Joe Biden, who he views as weak, that he's staffing up for a 2024 run of his own. The progressive thought leader, my ass. I can't even say that with a straight face. And founder of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, appeared on Breaking Points with Crystal Ball, blah, blah, blah. Thursday morning, promoted his new book, Justice Incoming. Let's see. Towards the end of the interview, Ball says someone, Gavin Newsom, running. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. He explained that someone has to shake it up from the outside. He can't convince anyone to do so, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, let me play the clip. It's easier than for me to read the shit. Rid of that. I'm gonna play all this. Probably not gonna make you guys suffer through it, but I'll play some of it. So let's see what Cenk Uygur says in his meltdown, because he's very, very, very scared of Orange Man Bad.
My last question for you, Cenk, is like, how hopeful are you that we could end up with someone other than Joe Biden as nominee? Like, do you think, because you say, yeah, I mean, because you say, listen, Gavin Newsom's not going to run against him. That goes for every one of the corporate Democrats. I mean, Gavin Newsom is the one making the most, like doing the most right now. And it's very clear he's not going to jump in this race against Joe. So do you think there's a chance?
Crystal, we are definitely in an unsolvable riddle.
Yeah.
Because the corporate Democrats say, I will not disobey. I will always bow my head. Right? And the progressives say, well, I can't run. The mainstream media will destroy me. They'll destroy my life. They'll destroy my career, et cetera, right?
Right.
So how do we get past that? That's why I'm desperate enough to think maybe I should do it. And I'll tell you why. Because let's say that somebody like me gets in the race.
Yeah.
The Democratic voters are dying for an alternative. They keep saying in every poll, for God's sake, give us someone else. Give us someone else. If someone like me were to get to 20 points, do you have any idea how quick Newsom and Whitmer would
You'll never get to 20 points, Cenk.
You're seriously considering it? Like,
yeah, I'm considering it.
You're never gonna get to 20 points. You barely got to 5 points, and you ran last time. You humiliated yourself when you ran last time. Now you think you get 20 points? Is what you think? RFK Jr. was at 20% at one point. I meant to say percent, not points, but yeah, I mean RFK Jr. got to 20% at one point. Now he isn't there, but he was there at one point, and it didn't affect the race much at all. Democrats didn't panic. Nobody melted down. Just ignored RFK, and he eventually went away. And has low poll numbers now, and is considering a run with the Libertarian Party. Maybe. I mean, I don't know what's going on with RFK. I haven't really paid much attention to him in a while, but into his campaign. But yeah, let's keep going.
Doing it.
Okay,
And I'll tell you
why.
why.
Why hasn't it happened? RFK Jr. is at 20%. Marianne's at like 10%, something like that.
No, but RFK Jr., first of all, he's not at 20 anymore. He peaked at 20 for a brief moment until Democrats found out he's not a Democrat. Okay. Then he went. Then he dove down. And Marianne got butchered by mainstream media. They made up things about crystals, etc. So I love Marianne. If she could somehow break through media, great, wonderful, etc. But it's taken a while and she hasn't broken through yet. So we need someone to be super aggressive. And if they, let me ask you this way. If you get, again, anyone, it doesn't have to be progressive, gets to 20 or 25, an outsider, right? This whole town panics and Newsom and Whitmer go in immediately.
No, they wouldn't. If a progressive gets to 20%, no, they wouldn't. But they'd just, like poo-poo it and not make a big deal out of it and push Joe Biden. Because ultimately, they get to pick who the nominee is. That's the part Cenk Uyghur's not telling you. They can pick the nominee. Nobody's going to melt down over some progressive, whoever it is. Let's say Cenk Uygur, it's at 20%. They'll just point out what a racist he is and what a sexist he is and point out, that he likes to fuck horses. And they'll just dismiss him as some kind of kook, and then we'll move on with it. Everybody will move on. Joe Biden be the nominee, and that's it. Cenk Uyghur's never going to get 20% running for president. Even if he does, they'll dismiss him. They'll bring up his old horse fucking quote, and they'll bring up his sexism and his racism. And he's done. No chance. No chance of winning. He has no chance of getting 20%. It's absurd. Let's keep going.
I do think
Is
there's
that
a
right?
possibility of
I don't know.
Give me a second. I'll keep playing this, but just give me a second.
I don't know, because it already
I'll be
happened with
back.
RFK, and they just ignored him, and they went after him, and he,
Yeah,
like
that
you
was
said, he went down.
that was before when they were convinced that Biden was going to win, and RFK everybody knew was a flash in the pan because he's not really a Democrat.
Maybe.
But so, Cenk, tell me more about your thinking.
Yeah.
Timeline. What are you weighing? How serious are you?
Yeah,
Give us the details.
So I already thought about it before, and I rejected it because I know what they're going to do. You're an outsider, radical. They're going to dredge up things from 1987 and when you were a junior in junior high school.
They already did that to you.
I think they did that to you. already.
Yeah,
That's right.
of course. And look, if we're being honest, the number one problem is mainstream media.
Sure.
Mainstream media is the shock troops of corporate politicians, both corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans.
Yeah.
Their job is to eviscerate any outsider. So that's why do you think progressives aren't running? I've talked to at least half a dozen progressives and tried to convince them to go in the race. And they're like, I don't want my life ruined. Who's going to ruin their life? Joe Biden? He's in a bunker somewhere. No, it's going to be ABC and NBC and CBS and CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. They're going to go to any outsider and shred him to pieces.
Sure.
And I'm now so desperate for making sure that we win that I think I'm already destroyed, right? Like they've already attacked me 10,000 times, right? So come at me, bro. So Crystal, it's crazy for me to consider it, right?
Yeah.
But that's the times we're in. If literally no one else will do it. It's insane. So I don't want to go quietly into that good night. And right now we are 100% on a track to
I'm
go
back.
quietly into that good night.
So what's the timeline, as Crystal said?
So
when are you going to decide?
No, look.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is nonsense. Let me just take off on this caption here. There we go. But yeah, this is nonsense. All he said there is like, yeah, I'm gonna run for president, guys. I mean, I think I can do it. I think I can get to 20%. And like, dude, you can't get to 20%. Like, there's no chance in hell you can get 20%. It's absolutely absurd if you think you can get 20%. It's like, oh yeah, I could definitely get there, guys. Just give me, trust me.
Look, if I'm gonna do it, if anybody's gonna do it, they gotta go now.
Yeah.
Well, announce it.
Have you
Yeah.
thought about staff? Have you
Yeah.
thought about a plan? Have you reached out? I mean, we know, you know, donor networks, all those sorts of things. Have
Yeah.
you started taking real steps?
So if you're gonna run a campaign this late, you can't go traditional, right? You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna collect endorsements from politicians. Oh, and I'm gonna build up my base tiny bit. No, you gotta go and hope for a grassroots tsunami. The good news is when I ran for Congress, I mean, it was a tiny little race. We raised like 1.3 million in 3 months. I mean, if anybody can raise money, it's
And that was when he was more liked in the community back in 2018. Now this is, well, not really, to be fair. 2018, he was russiagating a lot, you know, and people were, you know, just mocking him for that, but he wasn't really that well liked. But, you know, he was able to raise $1 million in 3 months, which is impressive. But then he got 5% of the vote, which means he screwed up his money or something happened where he just sucked. Nobody really wanted him in that district. But somehow he's going to turn that into running for president. I mean, I'm just astonished that he would even do this. You know, the only reason I could think of is because he wants to sell more books. This is a glorified book tour like Marianne Williamson is doing. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only reason why you run for president at this point.
It's me from the grassroots, right? And I'm a successful businessman, if I might say so myself. I have some credibility in running things, managing things, etc. So have I reached out to staff? I have, okay? Now, the problem is everybody thinks, well, how the hell are we going to beat these guys, right? So if I go in...
Why haven't Crystal or Sagar pointed out the obvious fact? He can't be president. He wasn't born... He's not a natural born citizen. He's born in Istanbul, in Turkey. What used to be Constantinople. He wasn't even born here. Why the hell are they're even entertaining this like it's a legitimate thing and not just dismiss him? Like, Cenk, you were born in Turkey. You can't be president. What's your point here? What are we doing? Why are you wasting everybody's time and waste donor money? You know, I'm sure he's gonna solicit donations from his audience, from his TYT audience. So why are you wasting everybody's time? I would love him to explain that because he's not a natural born citizen. He became a citizen later, but he can't run. So I don't understand why Crystal or Sagar hasn't challenged him on this.
It's going to be threadbare staff, threadbare website, and we're going to see, is there momentum? Because if there isn't momentum and people go, no, Biden, even if he's in the 20s, I don't care. I don't mind losing. I don't mind losing. You're being impolite, which is totally possible, right? So if that's...
I think there's a decent contingent, though. I think that.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then at least I left it all on the
100%.
battlefield. Or whoever does it, for God's sake, don't make me do it. Like, have someone else run, right? But I can't get anyone to do it. And
I can't get anyone to do it, guys. You see, I have to do it. I have to run for president because I can't get anybody else to do it. You know, I'm such an egomaniac that I think I can convince a progressive, whoever he's talking to, I don't know who he's talking to, but alleged progressive, let's say, to run for president because they all support Joe Biden because they're all Democrats. So Cenk Uygur is like, well, I'll do it. I'll fucking run for president. You know, I mean, you give me all the money. I'll take a lot of that donor money and buy a bunch of my books with it. Justice is Coming. Go to justicecoming.com, order your copy today, and I'm going to pocket that money myself as a giant grift, kind of like Marianne Williamson is doing. And I like that idea, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to take all your donor money, right? The millions of dollars and give my campaign. And I'm going to take that money. I'm going to buy a bunch of copies of my book, and I'm going to give it to you during campaign tours and campaign rallies. You each get a copy. So once you get that copy, it's been paid for. I get the money. I get the royalties, whatever it's called. I get that money. I get a piece of that money. So, and I also get to call myself a New York Times bestseller, even though this is what a lot of politicians do with their grift. So, yeah, all these clowns are distracting us. Definitely. I mean, this is not a serious run. And I don't know why Crystal and Saga are not pointing out the obvious fact. He can't run for president. Not legally, he can't be president. He can run for president, but he can't legally be president. It's kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger flirting with a presidential run. It's like, you can't be president. You were born in Austria somewhere. So you're not a natural born citizen. But again, why isn't Crystal and Saga pointing this out to him and challenging him on that? If he's going to run, that's the first question people are going to ask him. Like, why are you doing this? You can't be president anyways. What's your point? You're just wasting your time, your donors' time, your supporters' time. You're just wasting everybody's time here. This is what's called mental masturbation. You just say, oh, what if I could run for president? Oh, what if I could be president? I would do this, and this. Excuse me. And, but I can't be president. So it's just a big waste of time. Jesus Christ. Let's see. Maybe they'll actually challenge him on this. I don't think so, though. I haven't seen the whole clip, and I don't intend to either. I'm not going to waste 30 minutes of my time watching the full interview or clip. That's on the Breaking Points channel.
And so I want to leave it all on the battlefield, and I don't want to say, well, like everyone else, I wanted to be polite. So we lost democracy because we thought
we're not a democracy, Cenk. We're a republic. It's a difference, a giant difference. The parliamentary system is much more democratic than what we have here. We have what's called a representative republic, which basically means you vote for representative, and the representative or president or senator or whatever, they make policy. And we have very little say in what policy Washington pursues. That's always as it was intended to work. It was never intended to be like a democracy where we tell Congress, oh yeah, by the way, the nuclear proliferation treaty, I want this, and this in it. The trade deal, I want this, and this, and this in it. This war, yeah, I don't want to fight this war, that war, and this war. I want to fight that war, this war, and that war. I mean, the representatives are, in theory, supposed to handle everything, and we're supposed to sit back and live our lives. And we're not really a democracy. The democracy is basically we have a say in every policy decision and how we spend our money and what we spend it on and who we spend it on, all that stuff. We don't do that here in the United States. That's not going to happen here. Should it happen? Of course. I mean, I would love to have a lot more say over how we spend our money. We would definitely not be spending nearly $1 trillion in defense. That's not a thing. That would never happen, and people have more say, but we don't. We would not be sending trillions of dollars to Ukraine. That's another thing. I wouldn't be sending money to Nazis in Ukraine. And then, excuse me, I would not be sending trillions of dollars to Nazis in Ukraine. I would not be saber rattling with China and Russia to nuclear powers, because now Joe Biden sent a bunch of goddamn money to Taiwan, even though we're technically supposed to believe in the one China policy, which basically means that Taiwan's part of China. But no, now we're sending guns to China and weapons to Taiwan, because ultimately, we have to saber rattle with China and make sure we could fight World War III on two fronts, not just one front. If World War III starts, we're screwed. I mean, how are we going to fight two superpowers at once, especially when we're a weakened empire? Not a thing. That's ridiculous. That's the last thing the United States should be doing, is fighting World War III on two fronts by ourselves, essentially. Because what? I mean, all our allies, they can't match the military might of China and Russia. This is just, I don't know how I got off on the World War III tangent, but there we go. Let's keep going. It's like a minute left to this one.
Thought it would hurt Mussolini's opponent's feelings, right? Does anybody remember Mussolini's opponent?
I don't actually.
Of course, no one does.
Yeah.
No one does.
Damn it. Yeah.
Okay, because Mussolini ran him over, and he probably sat on a couch just like Joe Biden is right now. You guys, and I know how mad Democrats get, and I know how mad media gets when you point out an iceberg. But we did it before. We pointed out the Hillary Clinton iceberg, and then they said, you made the iceberg appear. No, you knuckleheads, it's right there. The country, the voters despise the establishment. And they're like, so let's pick the most establishment candidates we can, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. Guys, he barely won last time. There's no way he's gonna win now, let alone if Cornel West is in the race. And Larry Hogan's in the race, and these guys are in the race, then there's no chance at all. So no, I'm not going quietly into that good night. So somebody better announce before I do.
All right.
Wow.
Well,
all right. Well, I never thought to ask you in your appearance if you were considering running for president.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I'm glad you made the news.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, definitely check out the book. I think you will not be disappointed. It's very interesting. Very.
They're hawking Cenk Uygur's book like, guys, guys, go ahead and buy Cenk Uygur's book. Because trust me, I read it and I loved every second, every word of it. And I made my husband Kyle Kalinske read it too, and he loved every second of it. So yeah, buy the book, Justice is Coming by Cenk Uygur, and give him more of your money. Thank you. I'll be right back, guys. Hey, guys.
Very thought-provoking, as are you always, Cenk. It's great to see you. And I said this to you privately, but I want to say it to the audience too. You were there from the beginning, helping us build at Rising, and we are always grateful to you for helping to build up. You're a true believer in terms of independent media, and that really shows. So thank you, Cenk.
I've never forgotten it, sir. So thank you very much.
Guys. I really appreciate you saying that.
Ah, fuck you. Honestly, Cenk Uygur, they're sucking up to Cenk Uygur, you helped us a lot in the early days of Rising, and we love you, Cenk. Even though you shit on my husband, and, you called my husband Mild Malinsky, and you hate my husband, but I'm still going to suck up to you because you're the grandfather of the space. That's what they're saying, thank you. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and helping me with my career. This is gross. It's like they're sucking up to him, like he's some kind of hero. Meanwhile, he's just a bloviated, loudmouth idiot, who has no nuance whatsoever in his commentary. It's the same commentary the last 20 years, basically. Same thing with Kyle Kalinske, her husband, but instead it's been only 10 years of that bullshit. So, yep, waste of time. Cenk Uygur is not a serious candidate. This is just him dicking around talking about how, oh yeah, I'm going to run for president. Give me more of your money because, I need it, and my book hasn't sold as well as I think it would have. And hey guys, make sure you buy his book, Justice is Coming, Cenk Uygur. He's a great man, and, he needs more of your money. Thank you. Hey guys. All right, so is there anything else I want to talk about? Excuse me, with Cenk? I don't think so. Let's see. So there's something, as you guys know, I'm going to move on from Cenk because I've lost interest in... all right, we have to talk about this. This just came across my radar, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. This is... So let's go to Canada. Where is it? Where's that original clip? As you guys know, it was the Canadian Parliament invited a Nazi or a Nazi collaborator. Can't pronounce his name, and I probably won't because he doesn't deserve it because he's a Nazi collaborator. Anyway, so the Canadian government, for some reason, decided to clap for this guy. They literally were clapping like a bunch of idiots. And they don't even realize that oh yeah, by the way, that guy you're clapping for, like idiots, all of you, that he's a Nazi. He's a fucking Nazi. He's a Nazi collaborator, and they killed millions of people, or hundreds of thousands, let's say. So why can't I find that original clip? Because there are other clips here, but I can't find that. I should have probably been more prepared. Like usual, I'm not fucking prepared because, my ADD kicks in and I just don't prepare for shows. And that's not a good look for me, I know, but fuck, it's just me doing this, so I apologize. All right, so let's go to not. I gotta find this. Here we go. Let's see whether I can find this clip finally. Yes, here it is. This is the one I'm looking for. So let's do that. Let's make this a little bigger. I love this. So we have this tweet and it's way too small. So you have to give me a minute. I can barely see it myself. All right, here we go. Wow, all that happened on the Canadian Parliament live on television, targeted now as Russian disinformation. In fact, the Nazi was honored at the Canadians Parliament, which is true. So this is the clip. It literally happened. Let's watch this, Canada. Let's see what the Canadians are doing here. They're going to humiliate and embarrass themselves on worldwide television and on the internet for everybody to see how much they love Nazis. Let's check this out.
We have here in the chamber today Ukrainian Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians.
Wait. That right there should have been included in them. I don't know how stupid they think, how stupid they are, but let's play that again, that part.
The Ukrainian independence against the Russians who fought
Ukrainian
independence against the Russians.
Fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians. That right there tells me that this guy collaborated with Nazis. That should have been a clue right there for this idiot, because hello, when you're fighting against the Russians, okay, they were part of the Allied powers. So who was against the Russians? The Nazis. Time's up. It's obviously was the Nazis. Are you kidding me? And that right there doesn't make him pause and like, he's a Nazi or he collaborated with Nazis, but we shouldn't probably do this. Nope, just obliviously does it like idiots. So let's continue.
And continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98.
Look at all these idiots. Look at them. They all just stand and clap without even putting two brain cells together. They're still clapping. Look at this shit.
His name is Yaroslav Hunka. And I was going to say he's in the gallery, but I think...
Yaroslav Hunka? Okay, that's a weird name.
You beat me to that. But I'm very proud to say that he is from North Bay and from my riding of Nipissing-Temiskaming. He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service.
A Canadian hero? Yeah, you're gonna regret that big time, dude. Once it comes out that he's collaborated with Nazis in World War II, you're gonna definitely regret that. A Canadian hero. The Canadian government's already backpedaling from him. Justin Trudeau is backpedaling. They're all backpedaling. Like, well, we're so sorry, guys, but here's the thing: we fell for Russian disinformation. It's the Russians' fault. Why we cheered this Nazi? That's literally what Justin Trudeau said. I don't know where I hope I can find the clip. I should have probably bookmarked it, but of course, I mean, I had a brain fart and didn't really do anything about, bookmarking stuff that I wanted to play. All right, well, let's a little bit more of this.
Thank you.
And they all get up and clap again, don't they? Oh no, it's just clap. They do get up. Like they're fucking seals. Look at them. Yeah, it turns out that, look at that right there. Nazi! Straight up Nazi. Look at that, he's a Nazi. We could see everything. Morons. Morons of morons. That's what the Canadians are. Now, to be fair, not every Canadian is a moron. I mean, I should probably retract that. What I meant to say is the Canadian government are full of morons. There we go. Just like here in the U.S. So I'm not defending the United States government either. But I should retract that part where I say all Canadians are morons. They're not. But the government definitely are. Look at them. We love Ukrainian Nazis. Wait, what? What did I just say? Oh. Yeah, I hate Nazis and fuck this guy, even though I just spent 10 minutes clapping for him. Just embarrassing. The Canadian government embarrassed not only itself, but embarrassed the entire Canadian country. All Canadians should be embarrassed. Or
We have here
what I
in the
meant to
chamber-
say again was they embarrassed all Canadians and should be apologizing. And Justin Trudeau should resign. That's just all right. So let's. So now let's go here. Wow, if this is true, then this is, I don't know, I can't really confirm this, but this is interesting. Canada's financial support for Ukraine on a per capita basis is the highest in the world, ahead of France, Germany, and the United States. Canada is funding Nazis in Ukraine. Well, yeah, they are. They are funding Nazis. So what is this? Yeah, it's just Justin Trudeau talking about. Doesn't matter, man. I don't know whether that violates TOS or not. So I'd rather not play that. So let's see. So yeah, let's play this. Canada's oops. Did I wait? Okay, looks fine. I saw something weird in my computer, like in the screen, so that's fine. So Canada's Minister of Finance, Christina Friedland, I guess it's Christina Freeland looks absolutely terrified to answer a question about pursuing an investigation to learn how many Nazis escaped to Canada. So she does look scared.
They're caused by B'nai B'rith.
So let's look at her hands.
Reopen
like,
a report by the Duchesne Commission
nervous.
so that Canadians can know how many veterans who fought with the Nazis are here in our country. Will the government do so, and what is your response to that?
I think let me just start by reiterating, and I don't think it can be said too many times, how hurtful for so many people in Canada and around the world what happened was and has been and continues to be. As
she literally stays silent there.
MPs,
Like she's so scared.
as MPs, it's important for appropriate next steps in the House to be taken, and I think that is our immediate focus. And as a government, we're going to be very thoughtful about any further steps that need to be taken.
So in other words, no. We're going to be very thoughtful about the next steps taken, and we're just going to hope this scandal goes away and everybody moves on and we get to ignore this because we have no interest in actually talking about this or investigating how many Nazis actually made it to Canada, and or Nazi collaborators ended up in Canada. We have no interest in that discussion whatsoever because we don't want to do that. We don't want to talk about that. We just want, people to ignore it and hope to God that nobody ever discusses it again. So let's see. So what else can I talk about? Because that's all the stories that I really had. The Dianne Feinstein thing broke, which is why I talked about it first, because it literally broke. It broke right then and there, So I had no choice to talk about Dianne Feinstein passing away. Let's see. What else can I talk about? I guess trailblazing California Senator Dianne Feinstein dies at 90. Trailblazing. Jesus Christ. These people are like, they suck. Like, whenever somebody important dies, they always talk about how great they are. They don't talk about the terrible part of their legacies. They just talk about how great they are and how they're trailblazing and how they're amazing leaders and all this other bullshit. Excuse me. Let's see. House Republicans hold hearing on Biden impeachment inquiry. Full video. 6 hours. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that shit. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just gonna find something to watch for the next few minutes, because I'm probably gonna wrap up soon. Because it's 3:30, and I have to cook dinner. You might ask me what's for dinner. Well, very simple. I might end up making. Wait a minute. I might end up making spaghetti, ground turkey and spaghetti. That's probably what I'm gonna eat, because that's what we have, and that's all we can. That's all I have. So I'm gonna cook that. It'll be delicious and all that good stuff. Let's see. There's something else. I want to take a few more minutes though. I don't want to just end the stream there. There's got to be something. There's something I wanted to cover and I forgot. Literally, I completely forgot what it was, because it was Feinstein, it was Cenk, and it was what I covered today. But I completely forgot the other thing I wanted to talk about. I might end up having to do a separate video over the weekend, upload it on Monday. But I completely forgot what I wanted to talk about. Oh, stupid! The debate. It was a debate Wednesday night. So I'll just very briefly talk about that, and then I'll probably wrap up, because I'm not going to take too much time, figuring that out. Jimmy Dore's UN address. I mean, I saw that. It was what, about 10 minutes long, at least the video I saw. Loved every second of it. Jimmy's fantastic, and you know what? That'd probably be better than to talk about the Republican debate, because no reason to talk about the debate, because none of those losers or those jabronis on stage are going to beat Trump anyways. So most likely one of them will end up being VP, let's say, and probably Ramaswamy or probably let's not do that. Or so let me go to Jimmy Dore's YouTube. That's actually a good thing. Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie. Sorry, I mean I'm terrible with names, so that's why I instantly forgot what your name was. Whoops. Oh God damn it. So in fact, that's a good place to end off. Thank you for that. I mean, if I can find it. Here we go. Full video. Yep. So this is Jimmy Dore's address. If I actually put it on, that'd be nice, Angel. Here we go. Sorry. This is Jimmy Dore's full address to the UN. It's about 11 minutes long. I think that's a good place to wrap it up, because instead of talking about GOP debate, which is a waste of time because there's nothing there. It's a bunch of people yelling and screaming at each other, and people who will never be president anyway. So that's just middle fingers. That's what I think about that. So Jimmy Dore addresses UN Security Council. I'm sure the United States was not happy to hear what Jimmy Dore had to say, or they probably weren't in the room because they didn't give a shit, because they're not going to the United States isn't going to allow anything to be done at the UN, because ultimately they have veto power. Just like Russia, just like China, just like all the World War II winners. They have veto power. So nothing's going to happen, but still, it's an important. Jimmy Dore was there and talked about the Nord Stream pipeline, what the United States did with that. So let's actually watch this though.
In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the following briefers to participate in this meeting. Mr. Dirk Polman, journalist, and Mr. Jimmy Dore, political commentator. It is so decided. I now give the floor to Mr. Jimmy Dore.
Greetings, Mr. President, distinguished members of the Council. I'm here to speak today about the attack on the Nord Stream pipeline that took place 1 year ago on September 26, 2022. 4 explosions ruptured the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines that carried natural gas from Russia to Europe. It was the biggest act of industrial sabotage in human history, severing the main artery for energy from Russia to Germany, cheap energy that was critical to maintaining Germany's industrial base. We have heard every cockamamie and ridiculous theory on how this happened. Now, you don't need to be a genius investigative reporter to figure out who is the culprit of the Nord Stream attack. Incredibly, most Western news outlets ignore the fact that
the United States of America is responsible. In fact, Matt Orfalea did an excellent compilation on this. Basically his compilation starts with Joe Biden and the administration and the people in the government talking about how Nord Stream 2 wasn't going to exist if they kept bombing, if there are the Russians invading Ukraine. And now, as soon as the bombing happens, all of a sudden it's like, well, it had to be the Russians, right? They're guilty. The media did this. I mean, Matt Orfalea did an excellent compilation, so I recommend go watching that, or I might be able to find it while this is on. So then I'll put it in the chat. So let's keep watching Jimmy, though.
President of the United States, Joe Biden himself, and on February 9th, 2022, that he would in fact attack the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, saying, and I quote, "If Russia invades Ukraine, tanks crossing the border again, there will no longer be a Nord Stream 2 pipeline. We will bring an end to it. I promise you, we will be able to do it." Even with that pre-admission of guilt from the President of the United States, most of the Western press remained baffled as to who could have pulled off the greatest act of eco-terrorism in history. But luckily, we don't have to rely on my interpretation of President Biden's clear threat to attack the pipelines. We actually have Seymour Hersh, a genius investigative reporter with impeccable reputation and credentials, who reported that in June of 2022, United States Navy divers operating under the cover of a widely publicized summer NATO exercise known as Baltops 22 planted the remotely triggered explosives that 3 months later destroyed 3 of the 4 Nord Stream pipelines, according to a source with direct knowledge of the operational planning. And like
I found the Matt Orfalea clip about his compilation is fantastic on the Nord Stream pipeline and the media's coverage of it. They went from then Joe Biden going from, "Oh, we're gonna bomb it," like Jimmy quoted him, and we'll be able to do it, to "We don't know who did it. We don't know who did it. Probably was the Russians." So here, I'm gonna put in the chat. You guys can check it out because I can't put it in. I can't put it in because it's full of copyrighted music, I'm sure, and I'm not, and I really don't have time to play the whole thing anyway. So let's keep going with Jimmy, and then we'll just finish up on that.
Like all criminals, the perpetrators could not tame their elation over committing the crime. Shortly after the attack, many high-ranking U.S. officials could not help but brag about their achievements and expressed multiple times how they were proud of being able to put an end to the pipelines. Undersecretary of State Victoria Nuland said, "I am, and I think the administration is, very gratified to know that Nord Stream 2 is now, as you like to say, a hunk of metal at the bottom of the sea." The United 100%. States Secretary of State Antony Blinken called it a tremendous opportunity.
Antony Blinken.
To once and for all remove the dependence on Russian energy. You have to be a paid liar to not acknowledge the hand of the United States in carrying out these attacks. Not only did President Biden declare he would do this, But high-ranking U.S. officials have said similar things for years. We can look to 2014 when former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice stated that over the long run, you simply want to change the structure of energy dependence. You want to depend more on North American energy platforms, which is what this is really all about. An economic war between the West and Russia in order to fill the pockets of rapacious capitalists who actually pull the strings of the U.S. government and dictate foreign policy. So let's pull back and take a look at the context in which this pipeline bombing occurred, shall we? It's all happening under the guise of defending Ukraine from an unprovoked Russian invasion. But of course, that's only true if you start the story of the Ukraine war somewhere near the end of the story instead of the beginning, which would indict Ukraine, the US, and NATO. The US and NATO are to blame, which is why the Western media always leaves the origin of this conflict out of their coverage and leaves most people in the dark with a false version of the cause of the conflict. Most Americans believe that Vladimir Putin woke up one day and decided for no particular reason to invade Ukraine and start a war completely out of the blue. This is what supporters of the Ukraine in this war actually believe, because that's the only narrative they hear from their news media, which is funded by the people who profit off this war, the military-industrial complex, the fossil fuel companies in the West, and of course, Wall Street. To make a crude analogy of the Western media's coverage of the Russian invasion is the following. Let's say Vladimir Putin was standing on a bus stop and there was an old lady standing in the street and a bus was heading straight for her. So Vladimir Putin pushes the old lady out of the way of the oncoming bus and down onto the concrete sidewalk. The Western corporate media would start that story near the end saying, Russian president pushes old lady down onto the concrete. The same goes for the entirety of the Ukraine-Russian war. The Western media starts the story of the war at February 24th, 2022, which is definitely not when this conflict started. They leave out the 2014 coup of the democratically elected Ukraine government orchestrated by the CIA in conjunction with Ukraine Nazis. They leave out the fact the Russian-speaking ethnic population in the eastern part of Ukraine, known as the Donbass, didn't want to go along with the CIA Nazi coup government. And so the newly coup right-wing Ukraine government started shelling the citizens of the Donbass via their henchmen, known as the Nazi Azov Battalion, that ended up killing somewhere around 18,000 civilians in the Donbass. 100%. They leave out also, there was a peace agreement that was reached to end the shelling by the Ukraine government and the Nazi Azov Battalion, known as the Minsk Accords, because the people who broke that peace agreement was not Russia, but the Ukraine government and the Nazis. Yep. They leave out the fact that there was already an overall peaceful way to avoid war and the slaughter of hundreds of thousands of precious Ukrainians, which was recently admitted to by the Secretary General of NATO, who admitted that it was the expansion of NATO onto Russia's border that was the real prevarication, and the US and NATO refused to stop their expansion onto Russia's border. All this amnesia is necessary for the continued aggression and warmongering of the US and NATO to be accepted by the citizens of the United States and Europe. Well, I'm here to cure them of their amnesia and remind them of the true cause of not only the Nord Stream bombing, but of the entire Ukraine war and the
And this is the US's and the corporate media's reaction to it. La 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 la, I can't hear, can't see anything. La 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 la, didn't happen. Russia did it. Russia, evil. La 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 la, yeah. La, la. Nope, can't hear it. That's basically what their response is going to be. I mean, Jimmy, God bless him. I mean, he did a great job in this testimony, but they have zero interest in hearing that, the corporate media or the U.S. government. I mean, it's like, oh, we said that? We did that? No, we didn't. In fact, we control the entire Western media apparatus, so they're not going to tell the truth. We didn't do it, so fuck you. Who the fuck is this guy? So it's God bless. This is great so far. I mean, there's a couple more minutes left, and then I'll do the shameless plugs, and then I'll wrap up.
Destabilization of the Middle East, including Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. The reason for that is the imperialistic lust of the United States empire. The U.S. now has over 800 military bases around the world without being able to cite an actual threat to their sovereignty. The U.S. is now ending its empire the way all empires end, by overextending itself militarily while it starves its own people at home. The real threat is the threat of U.S. economic interests. The U.S. has for decades feared German engineering and capital joining Russia's natural resources and manpower. As elucidated very clearly by the founder of the U.S. intelligence firm Stratford, George Friedman, in his 2010 book, says, quote, Russia does not threaten America's global position, but the mere possibility that it might collaborate with Europe, and particularly Germany, opens up the most significant threat in a decade, a long-term threat that needs to be nipped in the bud. Therefore, maintaining a powerful wedge between Germany and Russia is of overwhelming interest to the United States. For the U.S., Friedman added in 2015, the primordial fear is German technology and German capital, combining with Russian natural resources and Russian manpower to form the only combination that has for centuries scared the hell out of the United States. In this showdown, the U.S. aims to control the line from the Baltics to the Black Sea. Russia, by contrast, must have at least a neutral Ukraine, not a pro-Western Ukraine, because a neutral Ukraine would impede the primordial U.S. goal of a Russian-German fissure. The U.S. has opted for a proxy war instead. The Western governments are silent, even as the U.S. says through anonymous sources that Ukraine is responsible for the Nord Stream attack, but they won't blame them publicly. And so the United States continues to arm Ukraine to the teeth in hopes of extending the war and avoiding peace. The Germans say it's Ukraine, but will not release their official investigation and will not make an announcement.
And they won't.
The final obscenity is that the people in the West who claim to be environmentalists and claim to care about climate change and the environment say nothing about the worst release of methane gas in human history, but in fact whose actions reveal they don't actually care about climate change and continue to support this war and its eco-terrorism. In a bizarre twist, even Greta Thunberg traveled to Ukraine to meet with Zelensky after the Nord Stream bombing.
Where was she?
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Where was she? That's a good point.
I thank Ms. Dorr for his briefing.
We thank Dirk Pullman and Jimmy Dore for their briefings, which have once again demonstrated to the Security Council that the citizens of Western countries also have a great deal of questions for their governments.
Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Tampa.
All right, those are all Jimmy's tour dates. Yep. So it's time. Basically, why the United States and NATO caused this when they overthrew Yanukovych, the president of Ukraine, because he had the nerve to make an economic deal with Russia instead of the United States. So he was overthrown by the U.S. Then the new government comes in, the Nazi government comes in, and what do? They start killing Russians in the eastern part of Ukraine. Millions have died since 2014. That's when this war started, not a couple of years ago when Putin invaded in order to protect people. No, it started 10 years ago when the United States overthrew Yanukovych. And then when Zelensky took power, when Zelensky took power, they well, I lost track. I was saying, thank you very much. I was talking about Ukraine, Zelensky. When Zelensky took power, all of a sudden we have banning of the Russian language. We have canceling of elections. They ban certain political parties. They're not allowed to even run. And somehow somehow Russia's the authoritarian state when Zelensky does all this stuff? Really? Is that what we want to believe? It's absurd. It's straight up absurd. Well, let's see. So let's get rid of that. I'm gonna do shameless plugs and then I'm gonna wrap up because I'm being rushed and I know I have to cook dinner. So shameless plug time. First thing is, let's see. You can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called now. There's my Angel J Rivera 08 account. That's my main account. The other account's there. It's a backup one. Very rarely use it, but if my account ever gets banned, my main account, then I'm going to be tweeting from there. So make sure you follow both accounts. Also, let's see. Let me make this a little bigger because more shameless plugs. Make sure you check out INN. The link tree is in the description box below, alongside with my link tree. That is in the my link tree is below in the description box. We also have. I'm going to be making an appearance on a podcast. We'll be filming it October 15th. It probably won't be uploaded to the next day or whatever, but it's time. Its problem is if you're not fluent in Spanish and you're not going to understand what's going on, but still I'm gonna plug it anyways, just in case you want to check it out. Oops, there you go. Basically, here it is. This is one of the hosts. It says I'm gonna translate it. October. Hold on, let me see if there's a translation thing here. Yes, there is. Okay. October is looking good. See, I mean, it's a lot easier to read it in English. October is looking good. Our guests include, and I'm there in the third one. And the show is called Dos Gatos en una tierra de perros. Okay, so two cats in a dog's land, in other words. And let's see. And there's the link to their YouTube channel and where they upload their podcasts. And there I am right there, October 15th. So yeah, they'll probably be uploaded on Monday. This is Sunday, by the way. This is filmed Sunday. So yeah, so I'm gonna make an appearance on that show. It's my podcast. It's in Spanish, but if you guys feel either fluent in Spanish or feel free to, or you just curious to check it out, to hear me talking Spanish for a bit, by all means, go check it out. I'm sure, maybe maybe if you can figure out what's going on, you might be able to piece it together. But nonetheless, I just wanted to show you guys that, I'm going to be on. I'll probably plug it again when it gets closer to October 15th. But I just wanted to show that for now. And that's going to do it for this one. Episode 29. Next week is episode 30. Big deal. Don't know. I might have a guest on. We'll see. I mean, been going back and forth on having guests, I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it next week or next week for sure. I procrastinate a lot because I like talking a lot. This is my show, so I don't. Having a guest kind of tough for me because it's like, oh, I gotta let my guest talk a few times. I can't just blah 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 myself. So yeah, episode 30. We might be. I'm gonna start reaching out to people over the next few days and seeing whether they're able to come on or interested in coming on to to have the political conversations with me. Would be interesting. Would be something different for the show. We'll see what happens. If there's a guest, I'll definitely be plugging it earlier in the week, my show, than I usually would. Sometimes I don't even plug it at all. Just terrible at, promoting myself. But nonetheless, we just make sure you follow me on Twitter and you get all those details. I want to thank everybody for watching. Please give it a like. Please subscribe to INN and my personal channels. Those links are down there. And give it a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Make sure that's all done. It'll help me out a lot. It helps out INN a lot. And I'm going to see you guys next Friday for episode 30. In fact, I'll probably be making some standalone videos throughout the week, so make sure you subscribe to my personal channel and check that out. And I'll be seeing you guys next week for episode 30. Have a nice weekend.